Simply Scuba presents the Deco Stop Podcast.
Hi everybody and welcome to the Deco Stop Podcast. I'm Mark, I'm joined as ever with Shaun.
What up, dudes? How's it going? I hope everyone is well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Spring is springing. It's almost spring. And things are looking the up and the up. We're here to talk about scuba diving, and you're here to join us, so thank you very much. So starting off with website updates. So looking at the Simply Scuba website, we've got a few updates. The first one is we had a huge drop of Apex and Aqua equipment. So a lot of the new stuff, we haven't got the new reels or the advanced Lunar yet. They're still to come.
Mark, come on. Sort it out.
I think they were having some production issues with some of the like Goodman handle style things, so they're going to be a little bit later on. But we got the new thermic range, so the thermic carbon core, which is like a thermal rash vest, which I've tried on. They're pretty cool, nice and stretchy, and they're kind of like the equivalent of 2, maybe 3 mil of neoprene, but in like a rash vest. So yeah, they're pretty cool, long sleeve and short sleeve. Also the 8 mil. Which I never thought I'd like enjoy, but I put it on and you're like, whoa, I can touch my toes. I couldn't do that before, but as soon as I put this wetsuit on, because
that's got superpowers, because you can touch your toes at all. Like you could be absolutely naked and you couldn't touch your toes. That's amazing.
No, it's because I've always gone from like 5 mil wetsuit to just dry suit. That's just how we do things here in the UK. Yeah. But they sent me one of these as a sample, and I was like, well, I suppose I should really try it on, and put it on, and it's an all-in-one thing. So it's got a built-in hood, which is always fun. It's got a chest zipper. It's like a back zip on a dry suit, but straight across the front of your shoulders. It's got a neck dam as well, so an extra sort of flap of neoprene that you put your head through. Then you pull the hood down. Zipped it up myself, and I was amazed at how much I could move in this like 8 mil, and it didn't feel too like heavy or clunky. Incredibly stretchy and very environmentally friendly as well. It's like limestone based neoprene, so very very clever. And
is that the one you went into the shopping? You did some shopping in it. Yeah, you went down to your local Sainsbury's.
Did get some weird looks, but hey. No, it's if you don't want to go down the dry suit route, then I'd definitely look at the thermic. Very tough but very flexible, and very warm. Yes, and it comes with a changing mat, which is pretty cool.
You don't need. Throw that out and then buy the Simply Scuba own brand changing mats. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll get onto that on the next point. Actually, we got some own brand stuff. But one of the other brands, or a couple other brands that we're sort of including on the website, we've got Oakley sunglasses, because we spend a lot of time in bright sunny countries on boats, and Oakley's make sort of pretty good polarized sunglasses, as well as Quicksilver. They make some floating sunglasses. So if you drop them in the water, it's not the end of the world. You can fish them out of the water. If you're in the market for a new pair of sunglasses, definitely check out simplyscuba.com. Own brands, as Shaun and I have mentioned in, I presume, the podcast and other Q&As. And
I think it was last week we spoke about it. Yeah. We didn't realise it would be this quick.
Yeah,
we had rumbles of that. It was going to happen within the next 2 months. But it turns out it happened in a week.
Yeah, so a lot of the own brand stuff, the Simply Scuba stuff, is coming back onto the website, where we moved warehouses. They've basically been sort of sat in crates, just waiting to be booked in, and finally they actually have, and they're on the website as well. So everything from wetsuit changing mat bags to sort of actual wetsuit bags to keep your wetsuit inside, logbook binders, all sorts of stuff. So definitely head over, and I think there's going to be a few more bits and bobs. Yeah, there's they're still on the to be booked in list.
I think we'll have to mention that if you're after the Mark 1, that doesn't exist at this moment in time.
Yeah, that wasn't on the list.
Yeah. That's not on the list. We do not have the Mark 1s in stock. which is annoying because every other social post I have on Facebook is, when are you bringing back the Mark 1? It's like, don't know, probably never.
Yeah.
Who knows, mate? But...
Yeah, we'll look into it. We've got a few other things to sort out before we start making own brand tech again.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've got a lot of things to, it's basically a new website, so, and a new company, so lots to do. Yeah. Cool, man. So is that it for the brandage?
Yeah, that's it. My one of my dogs just decided to chew a bone against my chair leg, so it's making a lot of noise for the podcast.
Fantastic. It's all right. They love it. They they come here to to hear us and hear your dog chew.
Yeah, it's like ASMR.
Yeah.
Crunk, crunk, crunk.
Cool. Right, guys. So let's talk about social. I've just dropped something. Hopefully you did not hear that. Anyway, so let's go straight to YouTube first. So obviously we slightly tweaked our titles a couple of weeks ago, and we did our first kind of look back on one of our older videos, which was the future of scuba diving. So we've done a part 2, which had got really, really well. But the future of scuba diving has done. It's one of our most popular. I think it's like our second or third most popular video on our channel. So we did a little update, or should I say, you guys voted for the little update, and it knocked it out of the park, which was absolutely fantastic. So thank you to everyone who's watching that, has watched it, has liked it, and has commented on it. It's nice to get the groove back into those sorts of things. Not that we didn't have a groove beforehand, but it's kind of semi-relating to what we used to do pre-Internet Fusion, which is absolutely awesome. And also as well, so what you might notice in some of the videos, some of the branding has slightly changed. So with the dive brief, obviously there was a comic theme to it. I changed that because it was a good theme to have, but where I have about 1,000,001 things to do, it was just a little bit time consuming. So I changed all those out. It's still pretty cool. There's a new intro and stuff to it. But yeah, you might find like with the surface interval, like the banner at the top slightly changed. There's a bit more what do I want to say, motion to things, which is pretty cool. So yeah, just keep a little eye out on that. There's little tweaks are happening with the videos as I engage more into it, which is pretty cool. I'm trying, and again with the surface interval ones, obviously it's not difficult, but obviously sometimes, like obviously if we were together, there would be an interaction from me. If it's a bit silly or a bit crazy, I'd be like, what? Obviously, I can't do that because I'm not there when Mark's filming it. So I'm putting GIFs and little bits and bobs in, but I'm not making it super obvious. So just look out. I'm making little secret things in there. So just keep an eye out for that. Making them a little bit more, not that they're not fun, but yeah, adding a bit of quirkiness to them, which is pretty cool. And obviously as well, we have our vote that is live. That went live on Friday morning, so don't forget to go and vote for next week's surface interval. I can't remember which ones they were. I think it's like how to be a better scuba diver.
How to be the greatest scuba diver ever. Yeah. The best training agency is ...
That's why I put devil emojis next door to it, because I knew that's a poking the bear one.
And the worst places to scuba dive at the moment. How to be the greatest scuba diver ever is winning. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Let's try and keep that one going.
Yeah. Well, to be fair though to you, Mark, obviously you weren't 100% confident about the future of scuba diving, but you knocked that one right out the park. Because you wanted the other one to win, didn't you?
Yeah, it's still. Oh no, that's not the one. That's 50-50. Last week, which is between silly things scuba divers do and why cave diving is so badass. That's still at like 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah, I should have combined them into one video and just made why silly cave diving badass divers. Yeah, silly things that badass cave divers do or something.
Well, write that one down, because that's an extra video we can add to the list.
Yeah, we'll put that back into circulation.
Exactly. Happy days.
Head over to YouTube, head over to the community, and put your vote on.
Do it.
And I'll make it happen.
Yeah, do it now. Right, so normally I talk about the podcast. It's very aloof, should we say. So what I decided to do is I actually I try to do a deep dive as much as you can with the information that they give you, which is basically nothing. So I've done a little deep dive. So I thought I'd talk about the podcast a little bit more. So first off, though, the deep dive is going to be a podcast. It's going to go live Sunday morning at 10 a.m. So it's actually going to go live before the 5 o'clock show on YouTube. So if you like the deep dive and you want to hear Mark's wonderful voice before you see his beautiful face, you can do it over on our podcast. And again, you can listen to that wherever you get your podcasts, I think. Just type in Simply Scuba and you will find us. So yeah, that's kind of the only new show. I know I did start that with the surface interval, but it actually makes more sense for the deep dive to be a podcast because it's more informal and it's more advice-y based. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, but surface interval maybe one day down the line. So stat-wise, obviously we hard push Spotify because they actually give us the best stats of listeners. Again, that's obviously on their platform, but there's a lot more stats there for us, so I can kind of gauge the audience a little bit better. But we're nearing 700 followers on the platform for a podcast, just for Spotify, which is really, really cool. And we're nearing also 1,400 listeners. I don't know what the difference is between followers and listeners. I'm guessing it's people that listen to us and people that actually hit the the follow button. But that's really, really cool. So yeah, that is growing, and that's growing quite a lot actually, because when I first came back, that was only on around about 300 followers. When the Internet Fusion bought Simply Scuba, that was only on about 300 followers. So that's getting a nice steady growth. Other platforms. So there's 2,090 followers / listeners on unknown platforms. I ain't got a Scooby-Doo what you're listening to us on, but you are listening to us somewhere. You are listening to us, so thank you. Because what it does is it all depends on the RSS feed. And basically with that feeds, there's podcast providers that just go, oh, what new feeds are out? Boom. And then they just automatically connect it. So even though like with Spotify and Apple and stuff, we've physically connected our RSS feed to it, there are literally thousands of other providers that literally just pick it up and stick it on their platform. So that's where it's others. Right. Yeah, I ain't got a goddamn Scooby-Doo on how you've got on there. To our Apple listeners, we've got 264 listeners on Apple Podcasts. So thank you very much for everyone listening over there. Okay. That has increased quite a lot. And then as well, Overcast, which again is not one that we've connected to. It's one that's picked us up. We've got 92 followers on there. So hello everyone who is listening to us on the Overcast. And 65 people are listening to us on Podcast Addict as well. So thank you very much to all our new and our current listeners that have been listening to us from day dot. Obviously, it's been a bit higgledy-piggledy. We've done, like Daily Scuba News. We've uploaded that, then we've stopped it. Then we had a bit of surface interval. Then there was a bit of nothing for a while. And then there was Deco Stop. And then there wasn't Deco Stop. It's been a bit higgledy-piggledy when it comes to podcasts. But now we've got some stats in there. We're finding the feed. It's finding its home. It's getting its groove in it, Mark.
Yes.
We're
cool. Getting there. Yeah, just finding out what people want and what's practical, basically.
Yeah, exactly that. And the top 5 countries that listen to us are USA, Australia. So, crikey, mate. Hello.
Good day.
Good day. Put a shrimp on the barbie. UK. Thanks, UK guys. You traitors. You should be that should be number 1. But thank you anyway. Good old Canada. Just don't go over there if you want. COVID's a bit of an issue over there at the moment with their vaccine rollout being non-existent.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not very good. And Denmark, which I was very surprised to see. But yeah, so there are top 5 countries that listen to the podcast. So yeah, there's some stats for you. And then lastly, Instagram. So again, Instagram's been a bit higgledy-piggledy. There's been, obviously, Daily Scuba News goes live and Ask Mark goes live. That's not going to change. But, it varies between general, then a bit of promotion for the podcasts, then a bit of, product placement and all that sort of thing. So I'm just clearing that up for the season that's approaching. So what you'll notice is obviously Daily Scuba News and Ask Mark will always go live. because they're videos. But yeah, like the afternoon posts that normally go live, I think it's going to be more inspirational and more product. So that it's going to basically, I'm clearing it up a little bit. So when you look at the feed, there's going to be lovely, nice pictures of scuba diving rather than a bit of a higgledy-piggledy, not mess, but yeah, like what the hell's going on there. But yeah, so so just expect that. And also as well, Instagram, inspirational Instagram posts actually get more engagement as well from our followers on there. You know, they have a tendency of talking like, "Oh, that cylinder's a bit low." Oh.
I'm sorry, I saw that.
No, it's
I
good.
saw that, and I was like, oh.
No,
it's like touching her knees.
Yeah. See what happened was it's one of those funny cylinders. You add a bit of water and it expands.
Yeah.
So it was the right size, but it expands.
It just looked weird. I saw it and I was just like, oh, the first thing that I would do is just like scooch that up a bit.
But that's a good thing because it's interaction, and people started commenting. And that's what maybe I should start putting really bad pictures of scuba just to get people angry so they can comment.
Well, that was kind of one of my ideas that I had a while ago, to have like a dedicated section of like the worst flappy snag hazards, and just like post pictures of divers with these just awful things just flapping off of them. Yeah. And then I thought, maybe that's a bit much, because then someone will go through their feed and see a picture of themselves and go,
because in theory we can repost, so you can search for things and people with that. And what you could have, do you know what you could have on Instagram? Your flappy snag hazard of the week.
Yeah.
So just a weekly post goes up whenever you want to put it up. This is your flappy snag hazard of the week.
Because I follow one which was the qualified captain, I think it is, and it's just people who own boats but have no idea what they're doing, and they just constantly just beach them and get them stuck under bridges and stuff. And that's all that like Instagram channel is just people with boats who have no clue what they're doing. They're trying to like back it into the water, and then their truck ends up being in the water as well. It's just embarrassing. That's kind of what I thought Flappy Snag Hazard could turn into. But who knows? Maybe it will. We'll look into it.
Exactly.
So on to recent scuba diving news. So these are news stories that are a little bit too small for dedicated daily scuba news or just there's been so much news that we couldn't get to them all. So the first one is a scuba diving rabbi who has like officially adopted the ocean as part of his sort of world to repair. So this is Rabbi Ed Rosenthal, and I learned a new word this week. During his first year of rabbinical studies, I think that's a bit like biblical studies, but for the Jewish faith, rabbinical. So he was studying, and he went on a snorkeling trip, and he just kind of fell in love with the ocean, as most of us have. He grew up in landlocked St. Louis, and he was sort of watching old reruns of Sea Hunt and the undersea world of Jacques Cousteau, and it got to the point where he's just like, no, and he moved to like Tampa Bay, Florida, and he started up a group of divers called Scooby Jew, which is pretty cool.
That is
and
dope. I mean, I'm not Jewish, but I would like to join that group. And I don't scuba dive, but let's hope they don't get sued.
It doesn't. No, that's too far away from Scooby-Doo. No, they teach everyone you don't have to be Jewish, and they'll teach you how to dive, and they do sort of ocean cleanups and all that kind of stuff. Cool. As soon as I saw Scooby-Doo, I was like, yes.
That is going to be a hashtag in the podcast and on YouTube. Hashtag Scooby-Doo. That is fantastic.
I think he's part of a university or a college or something, but there are like 6 or 7 different Scooby-Doo dive centres around the States or something. So cool. If you want to get involved, look them up. Just something a little bit different. Yeah. The next one is a news story that I actually wrote and then during the research, because normally I read through the story and then I write I write the script, and then I kind of look for other facts about it just to expand the story. And so this article is from Men's Health magazine. It was April 20th, and it was Russian Vitaly Vivchar from Tomsk, Russia. He did 77 barbell sort of lifts whilst completely submerged, but with no air. It's a single breath sort of thing. He was wearing just a pair of board shorts and scuba mask, and he bench pressed 50-kilo barbell 77 times on a single breath, and this was in a lake in Russia. Hats off to him. And I was writing all about it, and the previous guy was a American chap, Greg Whitstock, who did 62 bench press ups. That was in I want to say Chicago, but I think that's wrong. I had this whole thing about Rocky IV. It's like the American and the Russian competing against one another. And then in doing further research, I found out that this world record, the Russian guy, it was in like August 2020. So it's like almost a year ago. And you're like, oh, what? You kidding? Fine. So I had to do another story. I just thought that was...
Not a lot was going on then. You might have got away with it. Like 2020, not much else happened other than people getting coughed on and spreading a disease. And us losing our jobs. Did we lose our jobs by then? April?
No, August.
We were furloughed then, weren't we?
Yeah, we were furloughed in April, and then come July, I think, was when we like officially got the letter, as it were.
Yeah. Fun times.
I just thought it's nuts. So he, of course, practiced yoga and freediving techniques to be able to hold his breath. And he's won like bench press competitions before on dry land, so he's already got that side of things down. To do 77 bench presses without breathing, because you've got like carbon dioxide building up, you've got lactic acid building up in your muscles that you can't get rid of until you take some fresh air in. So, hats off to him. But I can't remember where it was. I think it was on the Guinness video of the event, and someone was like commenting, it's like, oh, how the water pressure is affecting him. I was just like, he's barely 1 meter under the surface. His spotter has his head out of the water. The pressure isn't going to be that great.
It is crushing down on him, Mark. I don't think you realise. I think you need to go back to scuba school. Maybe join the Scooby Jews.
Yeah, Scooby Jews. Learn about pressure at like 1 meter. 1.1 bar or whatever.
That's amazing. Good lad. Well done. Well done for doing that last year.
Yeah. And the final news story is the Maldives released a statement because I think you did a news story about this last week or the week before.
Yeah, they were thinking about shark fishing again, weren't they?
So the Maldivian ministry... has so they were saying, or there was like a misquote of like, we're looking at sort of shark fishing again, but there was so much outcry from everybody basically that the Maldivian ministry has had to sort of release a statement which basically said, no, we're not lifting the shark fishing ban. We're not looking to fish for sharks again. But what we are looking at doing is trying to reinstate like long line fishing, and we were looking to see how that can affect shark populations. So that's what the ministry, whatever it was,
mayhem
spokesperson,
Ministry of
Magic. That's what they were referring to. So it's like we were looking at the potential impact, and everyone from Paddy has had a meeting with the ministry to confirm that no, the Maldives has no interest in lifting the ban on shark fishing in their waters. They're keeping that, so it's still illegal against the law, whatever it is, to hunt and catch sharks. However, they are looking to increase the amount of longline fishing, which does catch sharks, unfortunately. So it's some people were saying that, yeah, we're all kind of celebrating. However, it's kind of a loophole, so that if you do catch a shark whilst doing this, then it's kind of a loophole because you're allowed to longline fish for like tuna or whatever it was. So
big eye tuna, wasn't it? I think that's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
because that was their number one, wasn't there? That was their number one fishing thing was like big-eyed tuna.
Big ticket item.
I didn't realise that our Daily Scuba News article would have this sort of effect. It was all because of that article that this has happened. Nothing else. Not Paddy going to see him. It was all because of us. So you're welcome, sharks in the Maldives.
I wish we were that influential, but
no.
I don't think we deserve to be based on our reporting.
What are you on about? We are top quality reporting. We don't fudge things or write a story about something and then realise it was a year old.
That's our current research method. It takes about half an hour to write a story and then it goes live. No, but it's one of those sort of good news, bad news kind of situations. They have no interest in lifting the shark ban. However, they are looking to increase longline fishing, which is a bad method of fishing for a lot of different reasons.
Well, it is a little bit better than actually going, do you know what? Have fun. Go nuts on shark fishing. They could open everything up. So there is that. I mean, it's not great, but
I think I read somewhere that I think it's 24% of their GDP is in tourism. Yeah. So if they did say, nah, screw it, we're just going to murder all these sharks and sell them to Asia, then you'll probably find that number would start to hurt them more than what sort of selling the shark meat would gain.
Definitely.
So good news, bad news.
Fun
but onto news updates for what we spoke about this week. So the first one was replanting beginning here in the UK. So they're basically we have I can't think what you'd call it. I want to say a mandate, but a new eco-friendly kind of idea Parliament is sort of coming through, and the main or one of the sort of things on it is that they're replanting seagrass meadows. Cool. And so it's been sort of in preparation for the past year or so, and they've been growing and sort of preparing these seedlings and seed bags in a local aquarium and in Plymouth Sound and another area that eludes me at the moment. They're going to be planting these sort of seagrass meadows. At the moment, it's 8 hectares, which isn't a huge amount of space. I think it's only a third of a square mile or something, but still, it's better than nothing. And it's all to help sort of prevent erosion, because if there's nothing there, then the sort of loose substrate, as soon as the tides change, it all kind of shifts and moves. But as soon as the seagrass kind of puts its sort of roots down, it kind of solidifies everything, stops all that movement. It adds a food stuff for local sort of wildlife, and it has a sort of sheltering effect. It's somewhere for them to hide. That happens this week or last week. They sort of started this project with sort of divers putting these seed bags down and planting little seedlings. If you are diving in those areas and you do come across little bags every now and then, don't pick them up. It might not be trash. It is probably there for a very good reason. I don't know if they put little tags on them or something just to say, please don't remove.
Plastic tags.
That's, as soon as I said it, I was like, that's kind of detrimental. Why would they do that? But who knows?
See, that, would they have fenced off the area?
How can you fence off underwater?
Let's just put some nets down. I don't see an issue.
Just
whack loads of
fishing
nets
net
in
all
that
the way
bit.
around it.
Yeah.
That's it. Just weigh him down.
Yeah.
Ugh. The next news story was Aqua Breather. It was quite funny because I mentioned the that rebreather helmet in that Future of Scuba Diving updated video, and in that video I actually said, unfortunately they haven't released anything of substance like recently, so we don't really know how the project's going along. And then like a couple of days after we released that video, they released a promo video for their rebreather helmet, and you're like, oh.
Again, no, don't. It's because of us.
It's because of us.
We stopped shark fishing in the Maldives, and we've given the world another promo for this Aqua Breather helmet thing. So you're welcome, guys. We are influencers, Mark.
But the video itself is quite interesting. There's not a huge amount of details in it. It's almost like a promo video that someone is like talking over, but all you really get is just some funky electro music. But what you do get is like an exploded diagram of the inside, and they rotate it so you can kind of get an idea of what's going in. And it's so your counter lungs are like either side of your ears. Because that was what I was like trying to work out, is like, because you need like your lung volume, you need your counter lungs to be the same size or bigger, and if it's all inside a helmet, where does that all fit with all the electronics and all that kind of stuff? So yeah, apparently they're sort of in there, and I've seen some information about, you basically have two little canisters. Normally in a rebreather, you have a huge section which is your scrubber. That's getting rid of all the carbon dioxide. You then have, depending on the system, you either have a separate oxygen and a diluent tank, or you just have one single tank of nitrox. But what they do have is one single tank, which is pretty small. It looks like a maybe 3 litre if you're generous. But they don't mention it. They just kind of like highlight it. It like flashes for a bit of the video. Right. So I think that's nitrox. But they also have these two like beer can sized canisters that are rechargeable, and they don't really explain what it is, but from what we can see online is that they contain sodium oxide and potassium oxide or something, which basically acts as a scrubber, but when it's scrubbing out CO2, it apparently produces oxygen.
Cool.
And that's what goes into your loop. So I still don't really get how it works. And the tank connects to a second stage, which then connects to your left counter lung, and so that's why I'm guessing it's not a pure oxygen tank, because you need to be able to dilute it somehow. And there's a lot of questions, but it is quite interesting to see an exploded diagram and to sort of study it. But yeah, cool. Maybe one day we'll get our hands on one and see how it ticks, see what it's like.
No. I reckon no. That's my answer to that. I don't think it's going to happen. But we need that initiative. We need these sorts of products to push the scuba diving industry further. Yeah. And you would all know what I'm talking about if you watched the latest episode of Ask Mark. And I had a little rant. It wasn't a rant. Just airing my concerns and things.
Well, I was kind of thinking that with the latest Apex stuff, because they have done some innovation and they have tuned, but then everyone complains that it's so expensive.
Yeah,
that's kind of the stage where we're at. But yeah, maybe going forwards.
Although, don't hate me at Apex for this. Your roll top dry bag is well expensive for what it is.
What, the 30 litre?
Yeah,
the rucksack one. Yeah,
yeah. I can buy a well-known bigger brand than yours for like half the price, and it's basically the same bag, if not maybe a bit better, because they've got a pedigree in rucksacks and you don't.
Yeah, it's tough. They're trying to diversify and do sort of things a little bit different. But yeah, where they don't have that like specialty, as it were, they still have relatively high running costs.
Yeah, bless them.
I don't
Right,
know.
we'll get there. As I say, you've got to take these steps, ain't you? You got to break some eggs. You've got to create some things that might work, that might not work, but it's going to push things forward, isn't it? So.
Yeah. I still like their old backpack. Their like 75 litre thing.
Yeah.
That was a cool bag. But I think they stopped making that, unfortunately.
That's all your fault, Mark.
I know I didn't sell it well enough in the video.
You didn't sell it well enough on the video or on the old website. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Apex, we love you, especially Mark, because he is sponsored by you. I am joking, he is not. Right, so let's talk about my news stories. I actually have an update on one of them, but obviously the first one, there kind of really isn't an update because it was all in a neat package. But my first story is of a guy who was coaxed by his drunk mate to go down where these ball elephant seals like to chill in the evenings or in the mornings or whatever. It's a well-known, elephant seal. I want to say shark, but I don't know why, but elephant seal spot. And he was coaxed by his drunk mate to go down there and shoot one and chop its fins off and its tail. Yeah.
I don't know how people get to this stage.
I don't know.
I mean, granted, I don't really drink, but I don't.
Although the thing is, the guy who did it was
crosses your
sober.
mind.
It was the drunk mate. Yeah, no. It was the drunk mate. So he coaxed him as about basically, from what the court said, it's some sort of what is it? They said grotesque rituals, like a man being much. I'm a man. I'm going to go and hunt. But he basically, his drunk mate told him to go and kill this elephant seal. Gave him a 45 caliber gun, and then he went down there, shot one, cut his fins off, cut his tail off, and now he's 3 months in federal prison, a year's worth of supervised. I don't know. Read the article. Basically, he's screwed himself up, and then he's got 120 hours of community service to do, and that's when I said he should go to that area and start cleaning the rocks, but covered in fish and squid, and then we'll see how long he lasts. It's just bizarre. I don't get how.
I don't get it. Unfortunately, I think this is the world that we live in.
Yeah, I can understand if he was also intoxicated. You kind of don't. You're not.
You're not in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, and swiftly moving on to even more depressing news. So I spoke, my last Daily Scuba News was about, it was more about the response to a diver who's gone missing, who went missing, and, the protocols that followed and all that sort of thing. And because of that, there was just a delay in finding this person, or starting to find this person, Karen Chung, I believe her name was. There is an update. Unfortunately, she has been found dead for obvious reasons after about 2 or 3 days. If you don't find the person normally, it turns to a rescue mission to a recovery mission. But yeah, she was found dead 52 kilometers away from her last location. Which is a bit, so she got caught in a street or whatever, like in some sort of tide. The body was found, she was just found in her wetsuit. So there's some people are speculating that she surfaced. She might have got caught in a tide. She took off her BCD and her fins as a way of, just staying buoyant out of the water. And then got tired, potentially got knocked off. And then she drowned, basically. But obviously the post-mortem's going to happen. They're doing all those bits now. So I probably will do an update story maybe in a week or two, depending on how fast the information comes and the correct information. But yeah, it sucks that it happened, but it's good that she has been found. So the family do have a closure, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. She's not just missing.
Exactly. But to be found 52 kilometers, like it, obviously, because in the story I say, like, the brother was really concerned, so he got a bunch of scuba divers together, and they went out and tried to find her. They would never be able to find. I mean, she was found by fishermen in the water.
Yeah.
Like they were in the local fishing haunt, and her body was in that water. So
Yeah. Well,
no one would ever have
water.
found her, unfortunately.
No, terrible story, and one of those things where we may never know exactly what happened. It's just a terrible accident.
It turns out, though, from reports that obviously, so she was on a solo dive, so she'd been diving with a group all day, but basically there was one tank left, and she took that tank. Was like, well, there's only one tank. I'm going to do a quick solo dive because there's a tank there. I might as well go for a dive just to use that up. And unfortunately, it led to her death. But yeah, obviously an investigation will go into whether she's done solo dives before, whether, what cert card she has, and that all needs to be looked into. But that's obviously, that's further down the line. We're not there yet. They've just found her body.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Terrible.
Anyway, let's swiftly move on from that rather depressing elephant sharks and a scuba diver dying. Mark, what is your product of the week?
So my product of the week is the Aqualung Micro Squeeze Dive Knife. So so this came out probably a couple of years ago now. The Aqualung Squeeze Lock knives have always been ridiculously popular because they have the squeeze lock release mechanism, which is very different from anything else. I think a few others have tried to copy it, where the pattern isn't exact or whatever it is. But instead of having because a lot of dive knives, when they click into the sheath, there's a button that you have to push whilst you're lifting the knife out, or you have to do some kind of mechanism. This one has basically two hinged, spring-loaded sort of buttons on either side of the knife, and they're opposing, so they're kind of pushing out of the knife. But to be able to get the knife out of the sheath, you have to push both of them in. So that kind of ensures that you have to have a good grip on the knife before you can even take it out, which is just ingenious. And then pushing it back in, you just push it and they click and it locks back into position. So very clever. They have a few different ones. They've got the standard squeeze. They have I think they call it the big squeeze, which is a large sort of Rambo style knife. They have a small squeeze, which is more sensible, and then they have the micro squeeze, which is a diddy little thing. The blade itself is only 5 centimeters long. It's very compact. Well, the thing is that they're both blunt. You get the choice of a blunt tip, and I think they call it a safety tip now. It used to be called the sheep tip, which no one really understood what sheep tip meant. And it was basically just the flat, blunt tip.
So they tested it out on sheep. They were stabbing them, and it wasn't doing anything.
Yeah,
so
they're still happy. But no, they're the micro squeeze. Diddy little thing. This is more than most scuba divers are going to need to cut through a little bit of fishing line or sort of an obstacle. They've got the serrated edge so that you can sort of saw through stuff. They've got a line cutting notch as well. So yeah, if you've got a thin monofilament that you need to cut through, boom, you're done. They also have a bottle opener because, of course, scuba divers. I don't know why this is a thing, but yeah.
Because you're all alcoholics, mate. You're all alcoholics.
Well, one of my knives has a bottle opener on it, but I've never ever used it. It's why? Who gets out of the water and yeah, let me just get...
No, you do it in the water. You're
in the water,
Deco
yeah. Yeah, glass bottle. It's non-compressible.
Yeah.
Who knows? But But yeah, I just thought these are genius because they're really small. They're not dangerous in any way. The sheath itself has a few different mounting options, so you can sort of clip it to or bolt it to knife grommets on a BCD. It also has like a built-in like waistband hook that screws down as well. So yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes, and really it's what most scuba divers should be diving with, because you don't need these like huge bonkers dive knives the size of your leg. Yeah, just something like this, just to cut through some fishing line or sort of cut through something. Yeah, I don't know why these aren't more popular. I mean, they are pretty popular, but I don't know why more people aren't buying these.
What'll end up happening is it's again like you were saying with the evolution of scuba diving and stuff. I think it's just a generation thing. So the more the younger the folks, they'll be like, oh, okay, what equipment? And then the shorter, stubby, blunt knives will, you know what I mean? That'll happen basically. They'll get more popular, and then the big machete knives that you sometimes see will just fizzle out eventually, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, my knives, they range from one which is like, Struth, 3 centimeters long, the actual cutting blade, because that's all you really need for most stuff. With serrated edges as well, you can cut through a lot of stuff. And then I have my Green River, but that's for like serious work if you're having to cut through fishing nets and stuff.
Or someone's regulator hose, yeah.
They need to be silenced. No, but they're tools for a job, and for most recreational scuba diving, something like a micro squeeze is really what most divers sort of need. Yeah. And I think most BCDs, the grommets, they tend to line up nowadays. They've kind of settled on a fairly universal distance because. Well, the problem is that they were making their BCDs and they were making their dive knives to fit them, but then they found that a lot of people didn't want their dive knives; they wanted a different one, and people kept complaining. And because they were all slightly different sort of distances, you couldn't mount just any dive knife. Yeah. Whereas actually, if you make it universal, it actually is a more of a selling point for your BCD because you can fit anything to it. So I think they've kind of settled on a fairly universal distance now.
That only took 20 years for them to establish that. I'm joking. And also as well, I do have to say, for legal reasons, they do not test the sharpness of knives on sheep. I was just joking.
Someone would believe that out there.
They will. Oh dear.
No.
Cool.
No, I think it's called a safety blade. And you got the blunt tip or the safety blade. Cool. So yeah, nothing pointy on it at all to puncture your BCD or cut yourself by accident. Cool. No, they're very clever.
Excellent. Go buy one today. If you're listening to this on the podcast, there'll be a link somewhere in the description. Or you can go to our SoundCloud page and then the link will be there. In the video. On YouTube, it would be either pinned in the description or in the comments, depending if I could be bothered to do that. Or it's definitely popped up. It's definitely popped up whilst we've spoken about it. So, Mark, we actually have 2 questions. One's from you and one's from me this week. So
my first question.
Your first question. So, the first question is, number 1, why does Shaun smell so bad? I didn't realise my pungent stank can reach from Canterbury to where you live. I apologise.
Through the internet.
It's a condition.
So Shaun and I, we have this shared document where we put all of this sort of information of stuff to talk about for the podcast, and I was filling stuff out on like news stories and sort of updates to the website. Shaun was doing his thing, and then we just got a thing which is just this week's question. And I was just like, why does Shaun smell so bad?
And there we go. It's a medical condition, guys. I apologise to everyone. Lynx Africa just doesn't mask it. I try my best.
I have. So during the first lockdown, the government was giving us weekly like supply boxes.
Oh yeah.
So we were getting sort of food deliveries, and we'd get bars of soap, but we would always get 2 bottles of Lynx Africa shower gel. I still have some. I've been using it ever since just to get rid of it. I still have some because they were just once a week, and there's only so much shower gel that you can go through in a week. It's just me and my fiance in the house, so it's just we can't give this stuff away.
No, pure Lynx. I still have Lynx from Lynx shower gel from like 3 Christmases ago. I get it every Christmas, but from everyone, and I'm like, I've got stocks of Lynx Africa, or to our non-English audience, it's called Axe,
Axe,
isn't it?
yeah,
Axe bodies, Axe
Yeah.
Africa. I don't know whether it's called Africa, but that's the signature smell in England, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I love it. So yeah, that's why I smell bad. It's because of a medical condition. And on to my question. So this one's quite cool. So Mark, where will Scuba Diver be in 10 years' time? So I'm talking about equipment, dive sites, just the general industry. Where do you picture scuba diving in 10 years? And don't you dare say underwater.
Yeah, it'll be the same, but in our logbooks we'll write a 3 instead of a 2. I mean, helium prices are going to increase because that's a limited resource. So I don't think we'll see as much sort of trimix, especially open circuit trimix or open circuit trimix. Because helium's probably going to be that much harder to get hold of and that much more expensive. It's already expensive, but in 10 years' time, it's going to be much more. So you'll probably find with rebreather technology, that will probably increase. We'll probably see a bit more of it, a bit more accessible, a bit more affordable as well, because we're already seeing more and more. You used to have like a few big brands of sort of rebreathers, and those were like the top 6 or something. But now there's lots more sort of independents kind of coming out with their own. We're seeing big brands like Head, who own Mares. They bought Revo rebreathers, and they're kind of bringing them into their sort of domain. I think Scuba Pro bought, I can't remember the name now, but they bought a rebreather brand. Can't remember what they were called. So yeah, I think we're going to start to see more affordable sort of rebreather technology.
Cool.
As far as the standard gear goes, masks, we're probably going to see more like protective lenses on masks, kind of softer silicones and kind of clever sort of changes to that. But I think more masks are going to go down the sort of UV protected range of sort of masks to sort of actually protect your eyes. Regulators, can't imagine too much change with regulators. We'll probably see sort of probably more clever like technologies as far as like airflow, so reducing in sort of worker breathing. So they'll probably be like much sort of smoother to breathe and sort of lighter as well with a lot of traveling divers. Tanks, can't think you can do much to tanks. I think they kind of perfected them.
Make them a triangle.
Make them triangular, much stronger. What else is there? Dive computers. Dive computers, we're probably going to move. They're almost all going to go down like color screen, rechargeable batteries, because battery technology is becoming so much better. And with rechargeable batteries, that allows you to go down sort of color screens. Whereas the older ones with the sort of the LCD screens, they didn't use up very much power, so you could just get away just with a standard watch battery. But now with like rechargeable lithium-ion stuff, especially wireless recharging, you just put it on one of those Qi charging pads. Yeah, that just opens up a lot of doors. seeing a lot more like USB rechargeable stuff as well, so you don't have different recharging plugs that you have to get adapters for when you're going abroad. What else? Wetsuit technology, we're seeing a lot more like environmentally friendly stuff, like the thermic that I mentioned earlier, limestone based sort of neoprene. We're also seeing like Ulex Pure, which is a plant based neoprene. So alternatives to sort of petroleum based neoprene. We'll probably see more of that. Dry suits, yeah, they're pretty much as they were. They're probably just going to get cleverer, stretchy, breathable fabrics. Lead, can't really change lead, is what it is. BCDs, I don't know. I can't imagine we'll go purely into backplate harness wings. I think we're always going to have recreational style wings just because they're easier for sort of entry level. It's literally just throw it on, boom, you're in the water. It's not something that you have to build yourself. It's but yeah, as far as actual diving, I don't know. I can't imagine procedures are going to change that much. We're always like updating and sort of tweaking things, making them a little bit safer, a bit easier. But I think we're always going to dive in buddy pairs. I don't think we're going to do sort of solo diving very much. I think the procedures. There's a lot of scuba diving out there, so I think we've really kind of narrowed it down to this is a pretty good way of diving.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Any future dive sites? Any countries that you think are going to step up in the next 10 years?
I think local diving, we mentioned this quite a few times sort of recently. I think local diving is going to expand because we're already seeing more and more people at local dive sites because they can't scratch that itch by flying off to the Maldives or wherever because international travel is limited, so they're at least trying out local diving. So we'll probably start to see an increase of that. But I don't know. I think we've discovered most of the good places to go diving, so they'll just sort of continue as they were, and just get a lot more sort of local divers because they had that in was it Egypt that I was visiting. And they were saying how we always get the sort of the same sort of tourists from the same countries, but recently we're seeing a lot more sort of local sort of scuba divers who are sort of trying it out for the first time. So I think there's going to be a bit of a sort of culture shift where people aren't traveling, because that was a PADI statistic, I think it was, and it was a matter of, okay, the number of like people getting qualified overall isn't changing. It's just where they're getting qualified is changing. So people still want to go scuba diving. They still want to learn how to go scuba diving. It's just where they're learning is changing, which is a good thing. It's not that people just rule it out automatically because they can't travel. It's just people want, and they'll find a way. Nature finds a way.
Oh dear. Cool. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say Greece is going to overtake Egypt as the #1 dive destination in Europe.
So first of all, do you think Greece? Do you think Egypt is a part of Europe? Let's not mention international geography. Okay, yeah. I mean, there is diving around Greece, but the Mediterranean, as I understand it, I mean, I have been diving in the Meds, and it's okay. If you're going for wildlife, I don't think it's as stunning as some other waters, because the Meds, there is some fish, there is some wildlife, but it's not as flourishing as there's a lot of blue.
Can you just stop poo-pooing my ideas, all right?
Just stop bringing your experience to the game. But it does have lots of sort of shipwrecks and stuff, interesting things to see.
Yeah, because that's why I was going on. Basically, Greece are opening up a lot more protected areas in their waters now.
Okay.
For shipwrecks and stuff, for more people to explore.
What I'd like to see is more like artificial like marine parks, like in where is it, like Iran or somewhere? Probably not Iran, but somewhere in the Middle East. They're putting all these like sort of ex-military helicopters down, and we've got all these like underwater statue parks. So yeah, just something a little bit different to kind of explore, and sort of a reason to sort of go. And we're seeing all of these like artist depictions of, yeah, this will be like this underwater concrete structure, and it's this like huge dome, but it's all latticed, so you can swim into it, and it'll eventually, coral is going to start growing on it. It's a natural like sort of protective area.